Hi, everyone. This is Lin Bouthillier from linbouthillier.com. I wanted to share a part two of the video that I just made, which was about navigating the holidays as a trauma and abuse survivor. Um, we do struggle, those of us with significant trauma and those of us who have abuse trauma, most definitely can have some feelings of not sure how to proceed forward, some trepidation, some angst, and a lot of pain and fear, isolation, and being lots and lots of triggers can happen for us. And because all of my videos have a trigger warning on them, this is a trigger warning as well. But I want to share with you an article that I found, and it is something that might be helpful for you. The website where you can find this article is called endcan.org, endcan.org. And the article is entitled Navigating the Holidays as an Adult Survivor of Childhood Abuse. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to read the entire article for you because it's not very loud. Actually, not very long. I meant to say it's not very long. It's not very lengthy. NCAN is the National Foundation to End Child Abuse and Neglect. Okay, that's what NCAN is. And they are, if you want to reach out to them, if you want to know their address, they are, you can reach them through P.O. Box 102-428 in Denver, Colorado, zip code 80250. So this article, as I just told you, is entitled Navigating the Holidays as an Adult Survivor of Childhood Abuse. The sights and sounds of the holiday season, festive lights and decorations, cheerful holiday music, and warm and fuzzy Hallmark and Lifetime Channel holiday movies seem inescapable. The celebratory spirit may bring joy and happiness to some people, but for adult survivors of childhood abuse, the holiday season can ignite a sense of dread. Even the jolliest among us who savor all that comes with the season admit, even if reluctantly, that it can be stressful. We want to have the best celebrations and give the perfect gifts. If you're already managing the stress of surviving childhood abuse, the added pressure of the season can bring suppressed feelings and insecurities to the surface, making the holidays a potential minefield for survivors. Here's the question: why can't you just get into the holiday spirit? Even if they don't ask the question outright, people can't seem to understand why you can't just get into the holiday spirit. Instead, they refer to you as Scrooge or the Grinch, or remind you that if you approach the season with gratitude, you can experience all of its wonders. You're just not grateful enough. Just get some more gratitude, then things will be better. Then they either repeatedly nag at you to join the festivities with clear of you. Oh, I'm sorry, there goes the mail truck. We have to wait a second now. Okay, thank you. Thank you, darlings. Okay, so they either repeatedly nag at you to join the festivities or they steer clear of you, which can make you feel even more like an outcast or self-conscious. So now, not only are you battling the demons of childhood abuse, you're criticized for your lack of holiday cheer. Okay, thank you, Hazel. And made to feel guilty because you seem ungrateful and putting a damper on the most wonderful time of the year. Maybe they sincerely think that they can talk you into feeling the joy, but it just adds more stress. Now, this section is called When the Holidays Evoke Bad Memories. For many survivors of childhood abuse, the holidays can be a horrible time of year filled with anxiety and depression for various reasons. For example, family holiday gatherings can force survivors into situations where they have to spend time with the people who abused them, or people who refused to believe them when they tried to report the abuse. I just covered that in the video just prior to this one. It's about a 46-minute video, and I do speak in that video about how having to go to, to Aunt Kathy's house or wherever, we might have to sit across from the table from someone who did despicable things to us. And we don't want to go. And I'm just going to point out here, you don't have to go. Maybe you were safe as long as extended family members were around during the holiday. But once they left, you were alone with your abuser, or perhaps holiday pressure made tempers flare and you were the brunt of the anger with no way to escape. Even if you've managed to learn how to dissociate from the bad memories and the associated emotions successfully, it might be challenging or even impossible to do during the holidays. Abuse can cause toxic stress, leaving survivors susceptible to triggers. The sights, sounds, and fragrances of the season can trigger all those feelings you've trained yourself to bury the rest of the year. For survivors of childhood abuse, the holidays can pose a painful mental battle of whether to participate in family gatherings or avoid them to stop the pain of reliving such traumatic memories. In addition, the season can be a source of loss, abandonment, and grief, especially for survivors who fear an encounter with the abuser at a celebration or the possibility of having to interact with a loved one who's toxic. If you fall into these categories, please know that you are not facing this battle alone. Wait for a second for the booking to stop because the mail truck goes down the street one way and then makes a pass back on the other side. And this is the noisiest part of the day. And I'm so sorry. I should have timed this better. Thank you. All done barking. Thank you. Okay. So for the part of the article that I just read about when we know there's possibility that our abuser is going to be there and we're going to have to either have listening to them saying encoded messages out loud that are strictly for our ears. No one else gets it. No one else would catch it. I've experienced that, where they're saying coded things. And this doesn't mean that I'm hearing voices or having, delusions. No, abusers do that. They will say very, very carefully phrased sentences to trigger you right in front of everybody, and nobody's ears are tuned to it except for ours. That's very real. And some of them get a real big kick out of doing that in crowded places, in a big, huge room. I have one sibling who would not miss an opportunity at a family gathering to remind me that I failed at parenting. She just always has to get the claws out, and, if I'm just speaking about, in this, I haven't been near them for years now, but when I was speaking about, let's say, for instance, I mentioned one of my kids and just an offhanded, just barely under her breath, well, you always did spoil your kids. That sort of remark. Oh, your kids were spoiled rotten. That sort of thing. And it's meant to make you feel like you're on your back foot and you cannot ever measure up. They are toxic people. They enjoy knocking you down. So when you know that going into that environment, that same abusive person is going to bring their shame thrower, and it might look like a beautiful platter of brownies with the most beautiful, peppermint, crushed candies and a little bit of icing on top or something like that. It might look beautiful like that. Okay. What they've just brought in, but they might be using that to weaponize against you. Because the minute you reach for one, they might say, you sure you really think that's a good idea for you? Might not want to be choosing that. They do these things because they know they only have to do a little bit like this to be able to just, I'm sorry for this expression, it's kind of gross, but to pick the scab off of your wounds. That's what that's about. Picking the scab off of your emotional wounds that were caused by who? By doing what? Them the same way for years to you. And it's not your imagination. Toxic people, Leverage holidays. Okay, so let's go on through the next part. How to get through the holidays unscathed and and maybe even enjoy them. It may not seem like it, but there are steps you can take to make the holiday season more manageable. First and foremost, keep in mind that the season's emphasis is on giving, and remember that you deserve to give yourself a break. Oh man, I love that. The emphasis of the season is on giving, and you can give yourself a break. That's brilliant. Having self-care strategies can help you cope during the holiday. Set boundaries. Yes, a family can be an everlasting bond, but it doesn't have to be, especially if someone has been abusing you. You have every right to distance yourself from them or cut them out of your life completely. And I'm going to pause here for a moment to say some of us are experiencing protecting our child from someone who's present. Some of us, and I'm one of those people, had people in the family, more than one, who were absolutely abusive with my children. And that is another really, really wonderful boundary to make, and saying, my children are going to grow up just fine. They are not, their sense of family and wellness and inclusion does not hinge on me bringing them to this event for them to be given the same level of abuse that I received from this person. I don't take it anymore, but I'm still an advocate for my children. And if they're minor children, I have the right as a parent to say, this is not healthy for them. And I am under no obligation to bring them into that environment and have the same things done to them. And some of it might not even register with them, but it does with you. And there are some people in families and, extended family or friends of the family that can be extremely insulting or harmful towards your children as a means of hurting you. It might be just about wanting to hurt them, but it can also be a form of weaponizing abuse of another in order to hurt you. I'll give you a quick example. My little girl was born with a congenital amputation of her left hand and wrist. She did not have metacarpal bones or finger bones, and she had just a what they call a rudimentary floating thumb, but it wasn't where a thumb would normally be attached. And there was a man who was a really close friend of my husband's parents, and at a family gathering on Memorial Day, he came to the party and he wouldn't stop asking. He wouldn't stop doing the, here's the church and here's the steeple, open it up and see all the people thing. Okay. And he's doing this thing with her. She's sitting on somebody's lap and he's right next to her and he's going, can you do this? Can you do this? And there was a person at the party who stood up and said, no, she can't. And you have to leave now. This is unacceptable. You're being cruel. And that person did have a mean streak in them. And I'm not advocating for somebody humiliating somebody in front of somebody else, but he was trying to humiliate my child. And my child was not 5 months old at that time. She was older than that. But the first time that he met her, she was 5 months old. And then again, the next year, we're at the same family gathering. And that's what he was doing. And he wouldn't stop it. And so the owner of the house, who happened to be my father-in-law, said, you're done. You got to go now. We're finished. And that was a friendship ender for them. And I did not expect that sort of response from him, because I didn't think that he actually had it in him to be an advocate for another person. I'm just being truthful. I didn't think that he would do that, but he did. And but I think that it might have been more about it being a humiliation for himself more than it was for his granddaughter. But it still happened. Okay, so we'll get back into the article. Although it may be difficult, you have the right to say no, even to your closest family members. Even if your family continues to cast you into your old role or you feel that they do. Remember, you're an adult now who can decide what's best for you and for your children. Whether that means avoiding a family dinner and only joining the festivities earlier or later, or opting out of the celebration entirely. And let me also say that some of you may not have children, but you have pets, or you may have children and pets in your home. If you find that it is so stressful, the people that would be coming to your home are so stressful, the way they treat your children and your pets, and you dread having to tolerate that level of, like, if your dog goes and runs and hides under the bed because it cannot stand a person who is at your house, stop doing this to yourself. Let yourself have permission to say, I'm not hosting anymore. This hurts me. It hurts my pets. It hurts my children. It hurts my family. Or maybe it just hurts you. But you can give yourself permission to stop. It's absolutely okay for you to set that boundary and say, no, I've done it enough. I don't need to keep doing it anymore. Never feel that you have to apologize or guilt yourself into attending or doing something so that others will be happy. What you need and want is important, and saying no is not a sign of sensitivity or weakness, but great strength. Do what you need to do to protect yourself. I love that. Do what you need to protect yourself. And saying no, and this is from Dr. Roberta Shaler and many other practitioners. We hear this over and over again from really high top quality mental health professionals. No is a complete sentence. You do not have to explain. You don't have to give lots of excuses. You just have to say, I'm afraid it's just not going to work out for me. So it has to be a no. Thank you for inviting me. And that's it. Nothing more. Or you could just say no. That works too. Establish a support system. This might be tricky for some of us. It is for me. But it says you can't control the past, but you can take control of the present by putting a support system in place before the holidays. Again, remember that asking for help is not an act of weakness, but rather a strength. Put together a list of people in your life that you can rely on when needed. People who understand and validate your well-being. Then be sure to make plans to connect with them over the holidays, even if it's just with a short phone call. If you participate in a support group such as Louder Than Silence, Ending Child Abuse and Neglect Survivor Community, and if you go to this article, and I'll give you the information for the article again, you can go into that into the article and click on that clickable link for Louder Than Silence, Ending Child Abuse and Neglect Survivor Community. Launched by EndCan through Inspire, make an extra effort to stay connected over the holiday season. If you're not part of a support group, this may be the perfect time to check one out. They're the safe places where you can find compassion from non-judgmental people who have been there, offering reassurance, companionship, and practical support. If you're working with a therapist, it may be a good idea to try to book a pre- and post-holiday appointment to discuss coping strategies. I will tell you, I started doing that a month ago. I started in October. I reached out to an excellent mental health practitioner and said, I'm going to need some weekly support to get through the holiday season. Do you have enough time in your schedule to take me on as a weekly client during that time? And I didn't hear from them for a full week. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got rejected over this. But no, they were just out of town. That's all that happened. When they came back, they called me and said, I would love to take you on as a weekly client during this time. If that's what you need, we will do this. I will make it happen. And you can come in once a week. And if you start to feel like, well, I don't need once a week, I want to go to every 2 weeks or something like that, that's fine. But I said, I'm going to need this all the way through January. And they said, you got it. So it's okay to call and ask a practitioner, can I have specifically tailored support to get from this date that I struggle all the way through this date when it seems to dissipate each year? I really, really need that support. And if they say that they can't do it, it's okay. Just keep on trying different places until you get one that does. And there will be someone that does. Next one is on the list is be kind to yourself. The holidays can be stressful for everyone, even if it's not child abuse survivors, even if they're not child abuse survivors. Sure, you may get angry, have arguments, be impatient, or make mistakes. That's okay. Be sensitive and gentle to yourself. Breathe, take control, and shower yourself with self-care. If you find your feelings are too overwhelming to cope with, reach out for help. Reach out for help to others, call 911 or go to the closest emergency room. Take control of your reactions to triggers and keep yourself safe because you are worth it. This is the time, pre-holiday, is when to start getting really comfortable with what can I do? What works best for me when I feel triggered? What is a box of stuff that are a tray of things that I can get prepared for me that are my go-to resources for when I feel triggered? You can have your favorite comedy movie in that tray. You can have, a koosh ball. You could have just a little note that says there's a treat in the freezer for you. You can have, like I have a whole tray of grounding stones that I love. Lots of different things that we can have. We can have a special soap that has a scent that we really, really love. We can have a candle, and we just, going to safely use a candle for a little while, and just to, have a focal point looking at that so that I can do a meditation or whatever. But there's all kinds of things we can do to support ourselves in the best way. So here's the next one: create new memories and traditions with those you love. This is a sticky one because for me, creating new memories with those that I love, my world is very, very, very small. My circle of friends is very small, and I'm super, super selective about who I trust. Once you've been through a few smear campaigns, I had a home invasion happen that was set up by somebody who wanted to get retribution on me. A family member set me up for a home invasion. And after that happens, it makes it extremely difficult, no matter what kind of really heavy trauma that someone has inflicted upon us, highly traumatic events. It makes it difficult for us to trust other people enough to build that loving family that we selected, as opposed to the family that we've gone no contact with. If we are struggling with that, that might be one of the things that makes the holidays the hardest, is because we see articles like this, which are wonderful. This is a wonderful article, but it's saying just make new traditions with new people that you love. It's not always that easy. It really might be. Some of us have, the only person that we can truly trust is our mental health practitioners. The person that I trust the most is the PA at my psychiatrist's office and the counselor that I see on a weekly basis. Those are the people that I implicitly trust. They have my back. But I have some friends. There are neighbors that I'm friendly with, but not the kind of I'm going to spend a whole holiday with you sort of people. So some of us, we don't have that support system built yet. And some of us might not build that support system. But I'm going to read this segment of the article anyways. You deserve all the joy and merriment the season has to offer. You can make the holidays fun and memorable, even if it doesn't involve your family of origin. Sometimes friends can feel more like family, and that's perfectly okay. So have holiday fun with your chosen family. It is possible to carve out a holiday celebration that works for you. I will say this. One of the things that I find to be really, really, really helpful when I have that down feeling because I have not built my chosen family yet, I simply haven't. When we get to that point where we go, oh, I don't even have the chosen family that they're talking about, volunteering can be a really, really nice substitute for that. Feels really, really, really good to volunteer. We can, if we play an instrument, we can contact a hospital and ask, can I have a segment of time to perform in the front lobby? I just want to come and volunteer. Just want to make music for people coming in and out. They would probably be so happy to sign you up. There's lots of different things we can volunteer to food bank. We can volunteer lots of different organizations. And some people volunteer by going to the SPCA and walking dogs, or when the weather's really inclement, just coming in and playing with the dogs and cats, giving them some social interaction. And I guarantee you, if you're doing that, you will make friends in that place, no doubt about it. You will be having time spent with people who have like interests similar to yours, and it might be a good resource for you to just look into volunteering a little bit, not to the point where it's hurting you, not to the point where it's giving you some anxiety or things like that. You're the volunteer. You get to set the schedule. So here's the next one. Accept that you don't need to be perfect. Do things that bring you comfort and joy. Don't place impossible demands on yourself. That includes putting distance between you and your abusers or anyone who makes your life toxic. Refrain from caving into their guilt-inducing manipulations. If you get sucked into a cookie exchange with somebody, that feels like a burden. Oh my gosh, I've got to come up with 12 dozen cookies made by the end of this week. You've got to be kidding me. And they all have to be different kinds. If it makes you feel like just a heavy cloak of burden and dread has just come over you, call it up and cancel. Just call it up and say, nope, that's just not going to work for me. I might have made a commitment before I really thought it through. So no, I won't be participating in your cookie exchange. Thank you for inviting me. Or just, I've decided it's a no. Bye. So it's okay if you find the holidays difficult. You're certainly not alone. It's also okay if you're struggling. It doesn't make you difficult or weird, just human. Don't make apologies for yourself. You're doing your best. You're good enough as you are. No explanations. There's an old expression from Albert Hubbard. And I grew up in East Aurora, and there's monuments to Albert Hubbard, and, founder of the Roycroft movement. And one of the things that I was given as a gift one year for Christmas was one of his quotes inside of a mat, like ready to be framed. And it says, never explain. Your friends don't need it, and your enemies won't believe you anyways. It's a really, really cool expression, and it is very, very true. People who truly understand you do not need an explanation. Your no is perfectly fine with them. And the people who are your critics, they're not going to believe you anyways. No matter, even if you're telling them the absolute truth, they're going to just, oh, what a bunch of, you know what? Yeah, BS. Doesn't matter. Let it roll off our backs. My life does not get better or worse based on their disapproval. It just doesn't. So even though it can be a challenge to endure the holidays, it's not impossible. Try to take it easy, limit your time commitments to others, and make choices that make you happy. Whatever works for you, know that you are not alone, not wrong, not bad for feeling conflicted or having misgivings about how to celebrate or whether or not to celebrate at all. Know that we're always here for you. Find information and resources, and it's a clickable link there, to help you or someone you love and take care of yourself. You are worthy. Wishing you a safe and gentle holiday season. So this is an article that is from the National Foundation to End Child Abuse and Neglect. It's commonly known as ENDCAN, ENDCAN. So I'm looking to see if this article is credited to any individual, because I always like to credit the source, but it does not name an individual. But I hope this article was helpful for you. There are many more like it on the internet, but what's the recurring theme? It's okay to say no. Taking care of yourself involves you making the decision for what is best for you. And if you're a trauma and abuse survivor, what you can do is recognize that you have a whole pocket full of highly valuable N-O apostrophe S, bunch of no's in your pocket. And you can pull them out and use them anytime. And there's no penalty for using them. Someone who is receiving the no might believe a mistaken belief that they have the right to give you a penalty for saying no to them. Let them do it. Let them do it. If they get their get their panties twisted up in a bunch over you saying no to them, then it was a higher quality no than you even thought. Because any person who is a reasonable, kind, caring, compassionate, empathetic person does not get upset at you for saying no to them. It's a highly narcissistic trait to become upset with someone for saying no. So that right there tells you what their response is to your no, gives you a very, very, very big window into what's going on with them if they can't accept the word no from you. But you have every right in the world. It's edifying, it's uplifting to say no, because I care how I feel. And I'm a person who has significant trauma, and I need safety. And my own best advocate in the world will always, 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 bar none, be me. I'm self-partnered. I am my own best advocate, and I love being my own best advocate. And if someone says, well, I'm never having anything further to do with you because you just are always so resistive of everything that we try to do as a group. You're always the stick in the mud. You're always the person who says, no, that's just not going to work out for me. And if somebody says, hey, look, we're just not even bothering with you anymore. For me personally, that would give me the opportunity. We'll say, are you sure? Is it a promise? Please don't renege on your promise. We can look at it with a little bit of humor and say, yeah, I'm not going to be too busted up inside about you letting go of me. If that's how you treat me, I think I'll pick up the pieces of my life and get on with it. But this has been a really good discussion. I hope the article helps you. And I'm here for clients. I'm accepting new clients. And if any of you feel that you want to work with a peer-to-peer certified trauma recovery coach for your trauma recovery or abuse recovery, I'm absolutely delighted to have a phone call from you. You can reach out to me through my website. My website is linbouthillier.com. And the link for it is in the description to this page, so you don't have to worry about it. And it's kind of a funny way it looks like Lin Bouthillier, but it's pronounced Bouthillier. And it's you can also reach me through my email is lin@linbouthillier.com. And you can call my number, which is 716-994-3052. Again, all of this information is in the description for all of my videos. You can find it right away in any video that you click on. Just go to the description page and scroll down. It's always at the bottom. Self-care is never, ever selfish. It is. And this video has been all about self-care for the holidays. Self-care is never, ever selfish. It is essential to our well-being. It is essential to trauma recovery. And just like the article said at the very bottom, you are worthy. Yes, you are worthy of your own trauma recovery. It's your birthright. Wellness and health and well-being are your birthright. And don't let anybody steal it from you anymore. You have every right to be as healthy as you could possibly be. And that includes trauma recovery. So I will see you in the next one. Be well, everyone. And remember, you are worthy. Have the very best day. See you next time.